Okay, so we're super excited today to welcome Dale Sidebottom to our Ask Gemma Gym episodes. It's great to see you again, Dale.
Always a pleasure,
And it's
Gemma.
lovely to be chatting to you. Now, tell us where we're chatting to you from.
I am in sunny Melbourne, Australia at the moment, and it is the middle of summer. I think the last few days it's been in the high 30 degrees. So it's at the moment it's 9 in the morning, and I think it's already around 30 degrees already. So I'm sitting outside. So if I start sweating, I'm sorry. It's quite warm. Probably a little bit opposite to you over in the UK.
It's a little bit opposite to us. So last week we had snow here. And obviously it's it's 10:15 in the evening here. And it's certainly not warm at all, Dale.
I remember when I was living in London, and I did enjoy the winter period because it's something I'd never experienced before. The really dark days, we don't get that in Australia, so it was nice to experience. But I must admit, I do enjoy the sunshine a little bit more, Gemma.
Great. Okay, so tell our followers a little bit about how we met, and a little bit about yourself, Dale.
No worries, Gemma. So I'd been following, I think we sort of through Twitter, I'm pretty sure, was where I first sort of connected with you and all the work you've been doing. And then we were both fortunate enough, I think it was probably 3 years ago now, that we both were presenters, masterclass presenters for Connected PE in Dubai. And through that, it was, a really great opportunity to go over there and present to PE teachers from all over the world. And from there, formed a really good connection with yourself and obviously a few of the other presenters. And the one thing that really stuck out for me and I loved about it was your Bendy Wendy and Jumping Jack, the storybook. I still use that a lot with my little niece and nephew and talk about that. So that's pretty cool. So, that's how we met. And, I forget the second part of the question, sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to say a little bit about my first memory of you is standing on the stage at the Connected PE conference and doing this kind of like dance.
Yeah.
It was almost like a wake and shake kind of. And so, that's my very first memory of you, Dale. And I think that's what really sticks with me is just your energy. So your energy for everything. From the very first moment that I saw you, obviously you build up a picture of people online, but I think when you finally see them and you finally meet them, you just suddenly go, yes, that's Dale.
That's exactly right.
So the second question was, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I was a trained PE teacher and I've taught in primary schools and high schools all over the world. As I said, I lived in London for 3 years, which was a great experience. And through that, when I was in London, I started designing mobile applications. And they were all around getting students moving and engaged within the classroom. And that could be learning, could be games, it could be PE, could be anything. And from there, I went a little bit crazy, Gemma, and I created 30-odd apps. And then things started snowballing. I started getting asked to present at conferences. I started getting workshops. I started getting all these things. And from there, I started a company called Energetic Education. And now that's what I do full time. I am really fortunate that I've got a job that I absolutely love. And I get to travel around and work with schools. So working with the students, working with the teachers, working with some parents. And also lately I've been working with a lot of corporates and sports clubs on ways to make movement fun. So a lot of the time I think people think when they talk about fitness, do some squats, do some burpees, do some push-ups. It can be delivered in a really sort of negative way. People are sort of resistant. They don't want to go to it. So I've sort of found a really fun way to deliver it, and I call it sneaky fitness because people forget that they're actually exercising because they're having so much fun with the games that we create. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about maybe partnering up because with the great work you're doing, I think we're going to complement each other really nicely. So really, really, really cool what I'm able to do now. I think I've presented in about 13 different countries around the world. And for example, this week I did a keynote for 70 new teachers on Monday. Last night I was running a pre-season training for an AFL football club with 80 adults. So it's really diverse, really exciting, and as you can probably tell, I'm quite passionate about what I do, like yourself.
Okay, I want to go back to one thing you said, Dale.
Yep.
So I've released an app too, and did you do your apps yourself?
So when I first had my original idea for class breaks, that was the first ever app I designed. It's probably the best one I designed too. It's funny that was the first. I was fortunate enough. I had two of my cousins that run a mobile application business in Melbourne, and they helped me out with making my first three. And from that process, I was like, it was quite expensive, and I'm like, there's got to be another way. So then I started outsourcing, and I had some horrible stories and. Not horrible stories, but they're the way I learnt, I suppose. So what I've found now is I've got a team. I've got a virtual team of a web developer, an app developer, and a graphic designer, and they do it all for me. So I basically manage the project, but I wouldn't know the first thing about coding. I'm battling to talk on Skype, let alone tap my name into an app. So I think that's the beautiful thing about technology, the World Wide Web, and everything today, Gemma, is that you don't need to have the skills to be able to go and do something. You can outsource, you can use other people's expertise.
Yeah, I remember when I very first started our gymnastics app, and the first time I went to this sort of really high-class technology company in Bournemouth, and I didn't own a smartphone at the time. And I remember walking through the door and really realising I was out of my depth, and the kind of budgets they were talking about weren't even, they were like, I wasn't. So I very nearly gave up on my gymnastics app. And then I kept revisiting it, kept thinking, do you know what, all this content would be so important for an app. So I'm glad I didn't give up on it, but it took a lot of finding the right people for me to create the app. But it's really impressive to hear how many you've done, Dale. I didn't actually realise that. So that's great.
I don't really, I don't really talk about them as much anymore because I'm a big believer. I think technology is fantastic, Gemma, and as you know, but I think we're students, children, adults, we're too reliant on it. We spend too much time in front of a device. So I've got those apps here which are great and they're really engaging. They can help parents, teachers, whatever. But I'm more about these days creating organic resources that go back to movement and fun without technology. And I know you do a lot of that as well. So I love apps. I think they're great, but they'll never replace energy or a really good lesson.
Good. And you said, I can't remember the exact phrase you used a minute. What were you were saying? So you were saying about making exercises like burpees and press up and things like that. What did you say? Smart?
So I call it sneaky fitness because
that's it.
I design. So one of our sites and this is probably taken over from the app, so I get a little bit carried away, but we've created over 600 fitness games. So they're games people are having so much fun. So it might be like a board game Monopoly, Cluedo, Twister, Jenga. We might take a board game like that or a card game of Uno, Snakes and Ladders, anything like that. And they're actually playing the game, but to progress in the game, they've got to do a movement as well. And we've done all different things like that. And what ends up happening is because people, they're present, they're in the moment, it's a really sort of mindfulness activity, they're loving what they're doing so much. They forget that they're doing 5 push-ups as fast as they can to go on to the next one. Whereas if I said to you, Gemma, all right, today we're going to do 5 squats, 5 push-ups, 5 sets, you're like, oh, that's boring. But if you can do it in a Snakes and Ladders game, you forget you're doing it. So I talk about it a lot in all my workshops, keynotes, whatever I'm doing, sneaky fitness. That's
okay, I'm going to try and remember that. I love that phrase. So I love sneaky fitness. Okay, so I know that you've done hundreds of games, and to me, you are the guru of games.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I want you to tell me of a couple, maybe 2 to 3 games that you really get excited about. Maybe it's just, one that you've done recently with a group of people that have been really exciting, or just something that is kind of like your one go-to game that people are just absolutely wowed by.
Yeah, I suppose, as I just mentioned, a lot of my games are fitness-based. And you can substitute the fitness movements out for whatever. But one of the areas I've been working on lately is, self-improvement, wellness, everything like that. Oh, sorry, I think that was my phone ringing. One of the things I've been working on lately is wellness and well-being. And one of the things I found when I was still teaching was students they were always trying to find the negative. They weren't looking for positives. And so I started doing a gratitude journal, and that was simply write down 3 things that you're grateful for at the end of each day, or things that went well. And what I've found, Gemma, is that half the class were doing it and the other weren't. So I was like, right, that's not working. I need to get better at that. And when I can't do something or it's not working, I'll turn into a game. So at the middle of last year, I created a game called Gratitude Monopoly. So what this game is, it is a massive board game that you print out and you place it around the room like a big game of Monopoly. Anyway, students play the game, they roll the dice, they'll land on, it might be like Happy Lane or Move or Love Lane or Silly Street, or I don't know, I've made up silly names like that. And on that card, so it's like a Monopoly card, you've got a question, and it might be name one thing you're looking forward to next week, or there's all different questions around empathy, self-care, self-love, and gratitude. And so students take the time, they can actually write down that answer, they can go and sit down if they want, and then underneath it there's also a fitness movement. So my big selling thing is, if we're practicing these things, self-love, gratitude, empathy, and so forth, and also moving, we're going to have very happy, healthy children. But if they don't want to answer the question, because we don't know what students go through at home, they might have a horrible home life and they don't want to actually think about that. School might be the best thing they actually have. So then I say, all right, that's cool. You've just got to do the fitness movement to get the benefits of that. So the game works awesome. It's got so many different concepts and it appeals to so many people. I use it in primary schools. I use it with teachers. I used it I think a couple of weeks ago for corporate group. And it really just actually makes them sit back and reflect on the positive things in their lives.
Tell us the name of that game again. So what's the name of that game?
It's called Gratitude Monopoly. And for listeners today, I made this free for everyone because I want people using this game. I know it works. I see the amazing conversation that it generates at the end of it. So I can send you a link, but if you go to my website, which is energetic.education, if you click on the blog and just scroll down, it's Gratitude Monopoly. It's there. Download it for free. Print it out. Instructions are there. There's even a video of me explaining it.
Fantastic.
As many people that can use as possible, Gemma, is great because it's awesome.
I run lots of courses, Dale, so I will have a go at that myself.
That's great.
I'll have a go at it in my classes, and I'll give you some feedback and see how we got on over here.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so Dale, obviously we're a gymnastics company.
Yep.
I'm under the understanding that gymnastics isn't necessarily on the curriculum. Is that correct in Australia?
It's like a lot of things in the PE sort of program that it's it's there, but I think a lot of the time teachers will select what they want to teach, and a lot of time having gymnastics equipment, and only one teacher that isn't an expert in gymnastics, that it may not be everybody's go-to activity because it can be quite dangerous, as you know.
Yes. Okay, so what's your experience of gymnastics, Dale?
So I actually love gymnastics. I'm not very good at it, but I see the health benefits of it, Gemma, and not only that, I think all kids should do it just simply because of the core strength and the muscle memory and everything that it teaches them. So when I was at university, one of our courses was gymnastics, and we had to do like a gymnastics routine at the end of that. So I enjoyed that. I like the choreography side of things.
Okay, so I'm slightly wrong then, aren't I? Well, so there is gymnastics in your education system.
Yeah.
Is it just that it's not compulsory?
Yeah, so that's... I think, again, it comes down to, obviously, safety, OH&S. And when I remember when I was teaching, particularly in primary schools, that you've got you might have 30 primary school kids and only one teacher. You don't have much equipment. I physically didn't feel comfortable or safe to teach it.
Yes. Okay.
So,
and so that's where people like me come in. So I give you all the ideas, all the tools, and the confidence to teach the gymnastics and to feel confident to teach it safely. And that's what I come across a lot here in the UK. So lots of teachers who, are getting some training, but not a lot of it. And so they're a little bit resistant. They're worried about teaching it. So I think this is where it's great that I can then actually help with it.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, and that's why.
Dale,
I just got one thing there for you, Gemma.
Gymnastic skill.
Sorry, can I just? And that's what I was talking about with your resources.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're great. And I remember when I had you on the podcast, just talking, and I think I joined in your lesson at Connected PE, but all about just being able to do it in the classroom with no resources. And that's where I'm like, wow, that opened my eyes up to so much. And that's why I love your resources. And if you are teaching PE, gymnastics in your PE lesson, you should get your resources because they make it so easy. So that's one, really, really positive thing about everything you're doing, that anybody can just pick them up. So anyway, what's my favourite gymnastics move?
So if we were to say to Dale, right, we need to see your party trick gymnastics skill. What would it be, Dale?
I used to like I liked a candlestick's pretty cool, or a forward roll. I was a big forward roll sort of person. I really enjoyed those. I don't know about a party trick though.
Okay, so Dale, you've already mentioned our resources a little bit. So we have a number of gymnastics books, and over the course of the last 6 months, I've been putting together lots of pictures for a potential conditioning book. So this is lots of the exercises that you talked about earlier. So the press ups, the sit ups, the crunches, and that kind of thing. So the idea that we've had, really, because we've been looking at the books a lot, and we've been thinking, what was your phrase that I must remember?
Sneaky fitness.
Right, we need to make conditioning a sneaky fitness.
Correct.
So that's why I wanted to contact you, Dale. So this conditioning book, it's starting to look a bit like a chore. So, you open the book and, like you say, it's like, right, push-ups, press-ups, sit-ups, and it's not as fun as it could be. And because a lot of these skills are very challenging for the children, especially if they repeat, my thoughts is to make this book into a game instead of a book. Like, maybe in the future we'll produce this as a book too, so that we've got that option, so that you've got the resource to keep referring back to. But I want your thoughts on that, Dale. What do you think? Do you think that would be a good idea?
Yeah, so I know we've been communicating a little bit about this because I was pretty excited to sort of partner up with all the great work you're doing and sort of my expertise in creating games and the sneaky fitness component. So I was thinking, the deck of cards option, I really like that, where there might be 30 cards of the different movements, and we incorporate those movements into 20 or 30 little games. So how I envision it is that, like a pack of Uno cards or a deck of cards, that a teacher, that's all you need, or at home, anybody, a parent, anybody can have these. And inside that, there are 30 of these movement cards. So it'll be the press up, the sit up, whatever, explaining how to do it safely. But then the other 30 cards, there might be 60 altogether, they would be either a little workout they could do with it, or a game. So a different game that incorporates those movements that they can play at home, where everybody's having fun. Some incorporate counting, some incorporate a little bit of numeracy, literacy. So you're getting that cross-curricular as well as the sneaky benefits of fitness.
Okay, that's so exciting, Dale. That really is. Do you have any other games that are similar to this that you've already created?
So I've got a website called fitnessgamezone.com, and on there we've created over 600 of these movement games. So a lot of parents, teachers and coaches subscribe, and there's videos, there's printouts, there's a PDF for each game, and they can be used for all ages. So what I was thinking is pick the ones that are probably very fun, little games that can be used anywhere, and there's a lot on there, and hopefully we might be able to turn a few of those into a joint venture and deck of cards. That'd be great.
Fantastic. And what kind of feedback do you get on those games, Dale?
Yeah, so that's a lot of the workshops I do, Gemma, is based around the activities in the fitness game zone. And what I've found from feedback is that the games are awesome because they've got the instruction, you've got the instructional video, so either a session I've ran or myself demonstrating those, and then the printout as well. So what ends up happening is that teachers, coaches, students, anybody who's got this, they're able to go straight out and run it and actually understand the teaching cues of the game. Whereas previously I was releasing blogs or just ebooks, and people would read the games, but then they wouldn't actually know how to deliver them. So what I've found by actually giving a video for most of them is that now they can go and run them wherever. And I tell them the target audience, and like what you do with your DVDs and your books and everything as well, you make it so people feel comfortable and confident to deliver it to the high standard that you can as well.
Yes. Okay, what about do's and don'ts? So is there anything, that, you've come across in your in your games that you've created that's been an absolute disaster that hasn't quite worked?
Oh, well, I think as you'll know, when you're always trying to create new things, that there's always disasters, but that's the way we learn. So my biggest bit of advice is don't be like afraid to fail, because then you'll know what works and what doesn't work. And like with gymnastics, cricket, football, soccer, any sport, there's not one size fits all, and there's not one activity that works perfect for everyone. So my biggest advice is keep trying different ideas, keep being inventive, and the biggest thing is make it fun. If you can make whatever you're doing fun, then people are going to enjoy that. So my biggest advice is try new things, find what works for you, and find what works for your coaching or teaching style, because not everyone's going to be Gemma, not everyone's going to be Dale. Find your unique way and use the resources that are out there. So biggest thing though is don't be afraid to fail, because I think that's how we learn, and everything's got to be fun, particularly fitness and gymnastics. If people are having fun, they're going to want to continue to do it. So that's my biggest advice to anybody.
Okay, great. I think that one of the things I'm super excited about, Dale, with this project is that this game, hopefully, fast forward sort of 3 to 6 months, should be available both in England and in Australia. And I've never had that before. So I'm really excited about that. And to be able to link up together with something where, I've got some specialism in the creating of the resources, and to link up with your, being the game guru, then hopefully this should be a really good project.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. Okay, it's been great to chat to you today, Dale. Thank you so much for appearing on our Ask Gemma Gym episodes. And we look forward to chatting to you again one day soon.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Gemma.